Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello everyone, time for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. This one, episode 192, and we haven't done one of these in a bit, and I actually didn't even ask for any questions, but they do come in periodically, each week, a few, it seems to be, even uncalled for, which is awesome, much appreciated. So I've been saving some of these questions. I have obviously answered them directly to the person who asked me, and then asked permission to use their first names on the show and to do these publicly as live Q&A segments. So today is a Q&A episode. Haven't done it in a while, so thought it was time after I got some of these questions sort of built up. But that being said, by all means, if you have a question for me, hobby, off topic, whatever it may be, I'm pretty open book, transparent. I'll, as long as you keep it clean, I'll answer these, and I'll answer them to you directly, and then ask you if we can make, put it on a Q&A show. So that's today's episode. Let's hear from our sponsor and get the show underway.
Okay, now a quick word from our great sponsor, followed by the new product release schedule. Then we'll go around the Hobbyverse to tell you all the latest hobby happenings and news. Then we'll tackle today's topic of discussion.
Hi, this is Pat Hughes, Cubs announcer, coming to you from the Sports Card Shop in beautiful New Buffalo, Michigan. The Gocher family has built an incredible place here for collectors to buy, sell, and trade cards and memorabilia. Be sure to stop by and let them show you around. TheSportsCardShop.com, connecting sports, athletes, the hobby, and collectors around the world.
Hi. This is Alan Pinkett, and I'm here to tell you the Gocher family has done it again. They've just opened up the Sport Card Shop in downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, and it is awesome. If you're a collector, you need to check this place out. Tell them Alan sent you and get a free gift on your first visit.
Let's check out this week's Hobby Wax releases. Take it away, Owen.
Hey guys, it's Owen from Sports Card Shop. Let's go over the week releases. Starting off the 20th, we have Upper Deck Ingrained Hockey, Upper Deck Marvel Studios Series 2 Cinematic, Upper Deck Series 1 Hockey Retail Tin, and then going to the 22nd, we have Leaf Trinity Football, Panini Donruss Football Winterton, Panini 3 Count WWE, Topps Chrome Formula 1 Racing, Topps Chrome Formula 1 Racing Blaster, Topps Gilded Collection Baseball, True Mystery Going for Gold Buyback Edition, Topps UEFA Euro Chrome Soccer Sapphire. That would be on the 26th. Now moving to the 27th, we have Bowman Chrome University Football Blaster, Bowman Chrome University Football Hobby and Jumbo, Bowman Chrome University Football Breakers Delight, Panini Certified Football, Panini Mosaic Football, Pulse Premier Football, Super Break Football Edition, Super Break Signed Jersey Edition, and then we have also on the 27th, Upper Deck AEW Black Diamond Wrestling, Upper Deck Artifacts Hockey, and then to the 29th we have Leaf Metal Woman of Sport, Onyx Rips Baseball Collection, Tristar Hidden Treasures Football Autograph Full-Sized Helmet Season Edition, and Decision 2024 Trading Cards. That's it, guys. See ya.
Let's go round the Hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
And find out. All right, the big news, and it's a bounty. New Topps Chrome update is out, and featuring the some of the Major League debut patches that Topps is now famous for, and I love these items. Let's be real, it's a great piece of history. Well, the Pittsburgh Pirates themselves, the team notorious for not spending money on the team, wants to buy the Paul Skeens debut patch card, and I'm going to assume display it at PNC Park. I mean, what other reason would they have for wanting to purchase it? And let's talk about what they're offering. So they're offering 2 season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years, a softball game for you and 30 of your friends at the stadium, and coaching from Pirates alumni, so from former Pirates of the past, a spring training experience, which includes a private tour of Pirate City and Lecom Park, meet and greet with Paul Skeens himself, 2 Paul Skeens autographed jerseys, take batting practice and warm up with the team, and more. They've said and more, whatever more would mean. And then Livy Dunn, Paul Skeens' girlfriend, added to that bounty and said you can watch a game with her right next to her in the suite itself. So pretty big bounty. But now the question is, I won't argue that it's not a great offer, but what's worth more, right? Not to make it all about dollar signs only, but what's worth more, all that Pirates offer or what the puller of that card would get via an auction versus an auction house or private sale? So that's the $1 million question, if you will. And what would you do if you pulled that card? You know, especially if you're not a Pirates fan, all that Pirates stuff might not, knock your socks off that much. So, but if a Pirates fan does happen to pull that card, they got a interesting dilemma to go over. But I think if it's a non-Pirates fan, I'd be surprised they take that offer. But hey, who knows? I mean, it is a pretty cool offer. Either way, whoever gets that card is a winner in some form or fashion. For you. All right, we didn't talk about it on this show, but the winner of the 1979 Upper Deck O-Pee-Chee hockey case featuring Gretzky rookies that went for $3.72 million on Heritage never made the payment. They failed to purchase it, and Heritage said rather than get into file legal action, the auction's going to be relisted. The case is going to be relisted with a $750,000 opening bid. So the Gretzky hockey case is back on the market if you're in that space and want to be the owner of it. Let's talk about, speaking of hockey in Canada and Gretzky, the Canada Post is on strike, at least at the time of this recording. That's the equivalent, if you're in the States, of the United States Postal Service. Canada Post is on strike. 55,000 workers are not going to work. It's obviously going to cause problems with, if you're in Canada or expecting things from Canada. So this is not just in Canada, but if you're expecting letters, packages from Canada to here in the States or elsewhere, it's going to create issues, whether you get that on time, how long it takes you to get, or whether you get it at all. So it's not necessarily card news directly. I think it's important to talk about. Is the fractional share market in trouble? Well, it's the end of Collectible Inc., the fractional share company. They sent emails out to all their participants, myself included, saying December 13th would be their last day of existence to get your funds out, cash in your shares, as they use the new buzzword of 2024 when a business goes out of business with sunsetting. So they're sunsetting Collectible, and that's that's going to be the end for Collectible. But is it the end for fractional share market as a whole? All right, we saw the well, I don't know if you had Netflix or you went to someone's house that had Netflix. You probably watched the Mike Tyson Logan Paul fight this Friday night. If you want to call it a fight, it was dancing for 16 minutes, dancing around, not a lot of punches thrown. Mike Tyson looking every bit of 58 years old. So not a great look. I hope, they asked Tyson after the fight, is this it? Which I was hoping he would definitely say yes, and he didn't. But it's got to be it. I don't, I thought he was going to do a little bit more. I understand he's 58 years old, and as a fellow 50-year-old, things aren't the same at 50 as they are at 35 and 25. I get that. I thought he'd show a little more, throw a little more punches, not very active, just tried to kind of survive for 16 minutes, 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds. He did that, but man, talk about a boring fight. You could hear the crowd kind of booing, even at home. And, bad job by Netflix. Buffering issues. The screen looked like they had, 1990 cameras. I think they had the same cameras from when Mike Tyson was in his heyday. The film, the fights, a lot of it was just grainy and pixelated, and not a good look for Netflix. First foray into sports. If this is something they're going to do on the regular, they're going to have to fix some things. The announcing was brutal. The pixelation, the buffering, it was just not a good look overall for the night. It was entertaining a little bit, so the undercard was definitely better than the main event, let's be honest, and that Barrios Ramos fight was a war and a great fight, and wound up being a draw, and I think deservedly so. Those talk about we talk about Paul and Tyson being boring and inactive. The Barrios Ramos was the opposite of that, and the women's fight was as well a little controversial there. The big losers in this, it's not Tyson and Paul. They're getting a payday, but the how Netflix looked the gate with their event. Saw it. It's again on the not there. Is it the end for Fanatics Fest? Farrar announced, who kind of spearhead Fanatics Fest, announced.
I'm out. And for that reason alone, I'm out.
He's out. He's leaving. Did not, in his release, he did not mention role, or just said that, some folks exiting stage left. Fanatics get rid of him and save some face. The wording of it, he will not be heading Fanatics. The buzz is that maybe stepping away from put on. I do know a personal DJ statement. Will we see another Fanatics? I guess to say is.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, let's tackle some of these questions that have come in over the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 weeks. I didn't, like I mentioned in the intro, I didn't advertise again to do another Q&A. I probably should. I probably will now. But these were questions that sort of came in over 6 to 8 weeks. I wrote them down. I have a digital notebook I use. I kind of wrote them down in a file, kept them there, put the person's name that asked it. And I've obviously answered these back to the person directly, but I figured I'd use them to do today's Q&A on the show as well. So I think I got about 6 of them, so it won't be a super long episode, but kind of go through them. No particular order. These are not in the order that I got them. It's just, however I wrote them down. So first one's coming from Steve, who says, John, I've seen you post some of your stuff on your social media. What would you say is your most unique item, not necessarily your most expensive? And so, yeah, it's a good question. My most unique item is definitely not my most expensive one, or at least I don't believe so, because I've never seen another one of these to get a kind of a price on it. I know what I paid, which was not a ton of money for it, but I have a 1996 spring training media badge of Topps legend Cy Berger. So it's the laminated with the little metal clip that you can put on like your shirt pocket. or your belt that allows you access. In this case, it was for 1996 spring training, and that badge allowed him onto the field and access to all the spring training parks. I'm assuming in Florida and Arizona. So in talking to players, maybe under Top's contract and that sort of thing, it allowed him access to that players. And the fact that he wore it, and the fact that I can only imagine the conversations he had while wearing that media badge had to be pretty cool, and who he might have talked to wearing that media pass. And I saw it. Wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a ton of money. I bought it, and then I started, at that point, I wasn't even I don't even know how I found it. I wasn't searching for it. It just came across my feed, and then I, bought it. And then I started to look for more. Well, how many of these are there? Or how many, does he have them from other years? This is 96. Who has the 95, the 94, and so on, and the ones after that? And so I searched numerous auction sites and platforms. I got to say, I've never seen another one for sale. Now, obviously, they probably exist, maybe in other people's collections like this one's in mine. I don't put this out for sale. It's in my PC, but I've never seen one single one. I've searched completed listings, current listings. Auction houses. I've never found another one that has sold, at least where you can publicly track it. Maybe in a private sale. I don't know. So that's probably one, in my opinion, one of my coolest and most unique items. So thank you, Steve, for that question. All right, next question comes from a gentleman named Pete. I know you set up at shows. How many shows do you set up at per year? And obviously that varies, but I can give you a guideline. I average probably 1.5 a month. Some months I might have 2, others I have 1. So doing that 1.5 average, times 12, I'm going to say about 15 to 18 is what I average per year. There are, well, now with my monthly Watertown show, I always have one every month. But there was a time before that show where I didn't have one every month. But now I do, and sometimes 2. So 15 to 18 is the answer to that question. All right, next question comes from James. I know you walk around the National and go to the National. Why don't you have a table or booth, either as a dealer or for your content creation? It's a great question, James. I'm not opposed to it, but that those tables are pricey. We all know the difficulty in getting them. So, could I throw my name on the list? Yes. And get into the lottery. But getting my stuff there, if it's not a show I can drive to. The other thing is to set up at the National. Like I said, it's not cheap. You have to have the inventory to make that worthwhile, right? I'm not saying I don't have decent inventory, but I see some of the inventories at the show, right? And they're crazy. They're incredible. You've seen them too, right? And I don't have that kind of, if I ever set up at the National as a dealer, I would definitely have to buy, a collection or more stuff, maybe grab some stuff on consignment and that sort of thing. The other thing is, I don't like to always, at a week-long show, I don't like to be sort of confined behind a table for that long, right? I like to walk around, talk to people, and set up as a deal. Now, yeah, people can come to your table and you can have those same conversations, but you're sort of locked into one spot for, 5 or 6 days, and that's typically not my style. Could I do it for a day or 2? Sure. Anything past that, I might start to get a little stir crazy. Content creation, I love, I'm blessed to be able to do 1 or 2 main stages, it seems like, at each National, which I'm very honored and privileged to do. But I'd love to see, and I don't know if it's possible, I've said this before, I'd love to see a kind of a, like they have press row at the Super Bowl, media row at the Super Bowl. I'd love to see sort of that at the National, podcast row, a content creation row, where all the content creators have a little section together. Maybe you could split tables, right? Maybe, It could be the Sports Card Nation podcast and Hobby News Daily, Hobby Hotline. If space becomes an issue, which it probably would, probably why we don't have that now. But I hope someday maybe that occurs, and I hope I'm around to see it if it does. But again, I'm not opposed, but I don't have a problem just walking around and promoting the show that way and talking to people and that sort of thing. And I'm not really looking to set up as to tell you this. All right, next question comes from Jim, who says, "Do you still love podcasting?" And I do. I know I've got this show. I've got Sports Card Nation on Fridays, which is the interview show. Alternating every other week with this show is Card Mentions, which I do with my good friend Danny Black from Hobby News Daily. That's a blast to do. We do that live, and so I like what I do. I'm enjoying what I do. I'm at I'm on Hobby Hotline once a month, sometimes twice, but usually once, right? I've got a good balance. I'm enjoying it. Like if I did too much, maybe the answer to that question would start heading towards the no side. For sure, I love what I do. I love sharing my experiences, sharing some of the knowledge I do have, chatting with people. And again, I appreciate you out there who take time out of your day to listen to little old me and put me on whatever speaker I'm coming out of. And that fact does not get lost on me for a moment. So, frankly, I've said the minute I don't enjoy doing this kind of stuff anymore is my cue to not do this kind of stuff anymore. We're not there yet. I don't foresee a time. We'll get there, and I hope that remains the case. All right, the next question comes from Michael. He says, "John, I love how you ask certain guests about their hobby magic wand, what they would change in the hobby if they only had one wish." So, in case you didn't know, Michael's referring to, I don't do it every Sports Card Nation, but every so often I'll ask a guest on Sports Card Nation. It's one of the last things I ask them. It's an imaginary hobby magic wand. You get one wish. What do you wish for? Right? You can take something away. You can get something, but you only get one, right? And, man, it's funny. I ask other people. I've never really necessarily asked myself. But, put myself here in the moment on the hot seat. I think I'd like to see more hobby positivity, if I could use the magic wand. But I want to preempt that by saying I don't necessarily want to get rid. Listen, I would love to see no more store burglaries or thefts at shows. That sort of negativity. When I say negativity, we still should be able to give our opinions on things, even if we don't like them. So that negativity, we got to be ourselves and report what our feelings are. But just the train wreck stuff, or where people root against each other, or besmirch people, or whether it comes from a place of jealousy and they're rude to people and name calling and that sort of personal attacks in the hobby, that stuff I'd love to see go away in entirety, along with all the burglaries, robberies, thefts, break-ins, and all that stuff. There's no place in the hobby for me. But so yeah, that kind of negative stuff, personal attacks, I'd like to see that go bye-bye. All right, our next question and last question for this episode comes by the way of Chris, who asks, "John, I know Jackie's your guy. Do you have a favorite current player, any sport?" Yeah, I have a couple for sure. I really like what Bobby Witt is doing in baseball in Kansas City. I think he's the next guy. I know we got Ohtani, but another 5-tool guy. If you want to give Ohtani the National League crown, I'll give the American League crown in that category to Bobby Witt. He's fun to watch. I don't get to see him all the time, but I just think he's the next guy that's going to be. We talk about Mike Trout, where Mike Trout was before these injuries started piling up and kicking in. I think Bobby Witt Jr. is what Mike Trout was, 10 years ago. He's that guy, and I hope he stays healthy, unlike Mike, and has a Hall of Fame level career, and see some postseason success, which he has this year at the time of this recording. I'm trying to think. In football, the Steelers are my team, but how can you not like, Patrick Mahomes is I've said this on other shows and stuff. He's getting into Brady air little by little here with each ring and MVP, and he's still very young. Think about how long Brady played. Imagine if Mahomes plays that long. And I'm not saying he will or he won't. Only he knows for sure, or maybe he probably doesn't even know at this point, right? Got to stay healthy. But if he plays as long as Brady does, he's already done incredible stuff, but that resume is going to be really insane. I don't think certain people realize how good he is. So, big fan of Mahomes on the football side. Bobby Witt Jr. I'm not much of an NBA guy, so I can't really... I know the NBA, but I don't have someone I really kind of follow and that sort of thing. And I'm a Ranger fan. Messier is my all-time guy in the NHL, but I don't really, just some of the young talent, right? Your Connor McDavid, who's not as young as he was, but he's still young. Connor Bedard. It's fun to watch those guys, what they're doing and kind of be compared to Gretzky and Ovechkin and those sort of guys of the past. And so, yeah, I would say that would be how that. All right, that's going to do it. There's those 6 questions for this episode. I'm always open to Q&A questions. Most of the time I will answer them directly, and a lot of times when I answer them directly, I'll ask the person, can I use this for content? And 9 times out of 10, I get a thumbs up. And even a lot of times when they say, hey, you can use it, I just don't want my name being mentioned. Not sure why, but okay, I'm respectful of that. So ask away, and if I'll ask if we can use it. If you don't want your name mentioned or you do, let me know that. All right, thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/sportscardnationpodcast/ Twitter, we are at SportsCardNati1, so it's SportsCard NATI1. Instagram at SportsCardNationPodcast, or you can email the show hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.